Inspiration.com.
I was thinking about this recently. Can anybody, and please in the comments section below, let me know, can anybody think of a stand up and cheer movie that isn't either based on a true story or a sports movie? The only one I can think of that isn't based on a true story is Rocky. But for the most part, I think that sports movies lend themselves to that, and true stories especially, of triumph, of somebody working towards a goal and achieving it. One such movie from the recent past that is a great example of that is Invictus. Set in post-apartheid South Africa, as Nelson Mandela, played by Morgan Freeman, becomes president. Invictus is the story of how he reached out to the people who had oppressed him, to the people who had oppressed his other, black brothers and sisters in South Africa, the people that had been, beaten and killed and tortured by the police and thrown in jail for, like Mandela was, for years and years with no just cause. And he comes out of jail, he becomes president, becomes one of the most beloved figures in the world, really, at that point. And he doesn't go in there and say, all right, we're going to wipe clean our white oppressors. We're going to get rid of everything they love. We're going to put in everything that we love. We're going to get back at them. Even though that's what a lot of people around him wanted him to do. He didn't do that. He said, we got to live with these people. And we're not going to become a united country if we go in and we dismantle everything they love, even if some of those things offend us. One of the things that the movie makes it seem like it was one of his most important acts in the beginning of his administration. How much that is true, I don't know. One of those things was keeping the rugby Springboks team, which had been a symbol of oppression during apartheid, the colors that they wear, keeping them. Keeping the colors and keeping the team, keeping the name, and saying, we're not taking this thing that the white people love away from them. And we are going to have to learn to be tolerant as black people. If we expect them to be tolerant as white people, we are going to have to unite. And in order to do that, Morgan Freeman goes to the team, and in particular, Matt Damon as the team captain. And he says, you've got to, at that point, they're on a pretty bad losing streak. They're kind of a joke anyway. They lose every game. And Morgan Freeman goes to Matt Damon and says, you got to start winning. You got to start winning. You've got to get the country on your side. You've got to unite the country. You've got to get the black people rooting against you to root for you. You have got to make South Africa proud. And it's a beautiful story of tolerance, of people working together, of people, there's a lot of anger nowadays. There's a lot of blame thrown back and forth. There's a lot of, wanting to balance the scales of injustice by dismantling a lot of things, some of which need to go. Confederate statues, things like that, those need to go. Some of it, I find a little bit like, all right, there's maybe other things that can be focused on first before these things are. And that Mandela recognized, let's focus on what's important. Let's focus on, building up the black community. Let's focus on restructuring the government and dismantling apartheid and getting rid of all of it. Let's focus on that. And let's also focus on bringing people together, uniting people by taking this thing that's beloved, not only keeping it, but building it up in order to strip away the racism, strip away the things that, people were angry about, and make it something that everybody can unite behind. And to watch this team really, and Matt Damon especially, really rise to the occasion, really step up in order to represent their country and to grab this important moment in history, is inspiring. And this is coming from somebody who knows nothing about rugby, but you watch the movie and you cheer for them. The rugby scenes are exciting. You're wanting them to win. The movie has no villains, which is important. There are no villains in the movie. There are just people, and people who sometimes, the movie opens with a guy coaching rugby for little kids. Or not kids, maybe they were high schoolers, whatever. And Mandela drives by, with his, and, they see the flags waving. And all across the street, there's the black kids, and they run over, and they're cheering, and everything. And the guy says, there goes our country. That's the end of our country. And he's got such hate. The country's, they're going to run it into the ground, and they're going to drive us off, and that's the end of South Africa. And you've got, even Matt Damon's father in the movie is very dismissive of Mandela, very dismissive of black people becoming in charge of things. But you see him won over. You see these people's attitudes change because of the way that Mandela approached things. If you're a sports fan, watch this. If you're not a sports fan, watch this. It's such an inspiring movie about tolerance. Tolerance on every side. Realizing that, even the people who have treated you like crap throughout history, they're not going anywhere. So you've got to find a way to live with them. And it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. And, again, this is something that I think should be taught in schools. They really ought to, and in American schools. They should be teaching this moment in history when South Africa not only shed all of, the shackles of apartheid, but came together as a country. 4 stars for Invictus. I don't think it's streaming anywhere. It was on Netflix at one point, but I don't know that it still is. Rent it. Go to Amazon, rent it. Especially in times like we're in now. This is a movie that has a wonderful, beautiful message about accepting the people that you live with and becoming a community where everyone is welcome.
Their worlds.
Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,